We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Good morning to everybody. Now here we are going to start the third lecture of digital communication. So here we take a quick look at what we have covered so far. The first we have start with the digital modulation technique. We have learned about what is the importance of digital modulation technique and why it is so important. And then we have discussed about the various type of digital modulation scheme, ASK, FSK, PSK, CPM. And we mainly consider the case of a ASK. So in ASK, we have discussed about how the ASK is deeper than amplitude modulation scheme in analog communication. And we have learned about the various important parameters of ASK, starting with a very first mathematical equation of ASK, which is square root 2 EB by TB cos omega CT, where EB is the energy per bit and TB is the time period for a 1 bit. Then this mathematical equation has to be derived here. We have even learned about the waveform or graphical presentation of ASK signal, where the input bit is 1. So we transmit with the cos omega CT, where the input bit is 0. We are not transmitting anything over here. We learn about the constellation diagram of ASK, where constellation diagram describe about the amplitude and phase of a symbol. So there are 2 symbols. One can be represented by 0 and the second can be represented by square root EB, square root of 2 EB by TB. Then in the same line, we have discussed about the bandwidth of ASK signal. ASK signal consists only single carrier. So a power spectral density of ASK is majorly concentrated with this single frequency FC, and it consumes a minimum bandwidth B. Then we have gone through the ASK transmitter and 2 kind of ASK receiver, coherence and non-coherence. And we have even learned about the both of them with mathematical equations and how to get the original signal back out of it. Then we move to the merits and demerits of ASK. So the merits are simple to design ASK, requires a minimum bandwidth. The demerits are the spectral efficiency is very poor. And today we learn about the ASK signal. In ASK signal we learn how the spectral efficiency can be improved. Then we gone through the transmission power requirement is even higher in ASK, and a special case of MASK, where we are transmitting ASK with various level and it consumes more power than whatever the power consumed by simple ASK signal. So we will even take a look of this, and today's lecture we will discuss about all the parameter with the concern to the MASK signal. So we have stopped those lecture with future discussion about MRESK signal and FSK signal. So today we are going to start with MRESK signal. So today mainly we discuss about the bandwidth of MRESK signal and bit rate performance, spectral efficiency, and all the important parameters of MRESK signal. And we will compare this MRESK signal performance with the simple binary ASK signals that we have already learned in the last lecture. So the 2 main important parameters that we are going to learn today is the bit error rate and probability of error. Right? So bit error rate can be measured in terms of a probability of error. Bit error rate defines how many bits are received incorrect at the receiver side divided by the total number of bits. So if you can consider here, if you are transmitting 1000 bits, and out of 1000 bits, if 1 bit received is incorrect, so the bit error rate is simply considered as a 10 raised to minus 3. and every system is basically try to optimize the bit error rate. Optimize in the sense it try to minimize the bit error rate, and the system which have a minimum bit rate performance is considered as a good system. Basically, whatever we are transmitting, then it will be diluted by the noise, and then finally receiver is getting the signal. So whenever receiver is getting the signal, so receiver is not aware about what is actually transmitted, because some bits are going to change, and this probability of a bit error rate can be probabilistically measured, and this is measured by the P. So P is simply defined as a bit error probability, and as per the definition of probability, this P is generally vary from 0 to 1. If you are lucky enough and you are getting the probability of error P is 0, it means your signal has no error. If your probability of error is 1, it means you have a sure error. And if anything within the 0 to 1 is to be considered, your bit have a 50-50% probability to count in error, and so. So this transmitter we have learned, it's a simple ASK modulator where the input bit stream is in form of a binary data on-off signal, and then it can be multiplied with the carrier signal, which is of high frequency signal, and finally here at the output we are getting the signal which has similar kind of a shape, where you have a bit 1, you are getting the carrier signal. When you have a bit 0, then you are getting no signals, and the same for 1 and 0 consecutively. Now here the receiver structure is shown for a coherence receiver. So in coherence receiver, whatever the input signal is amplitude shifting key, which is received, but noise is not considered here. So here we are assuming the noise is absent. It's not a real scenario. In a real scenario, noise is always present. So today we'll discuss about if the noise are present in your receive signal, so how the receiver design is going to change. So in a coherence receiver, we are using the same carrier signals which has been used at the transmitter side for a modulation, and by after multiplying this here, whatever the signals are available with us, they have a desired component and undesired component. We pass through the low pass filter to filter out the undesired component, and the final output we have only desired components are present. So that is the R of t signal. So if everything is going in a fine way, then your receive signal may be exactly the similar of your input signal x of t. I'm not spending too much time over here because we have already covered this in a last lecture. So the important point here we have to learn is the effect of a noise that we have not considered here, right? And if we see this, if the noise are considered and the receive signal is diluted by the noise, then the performance of receiver is measured, and this is bit error performance, and analysis of bit error performance we are going to derive today, right? But in that case, the design is not as simple as which is shown here. The design is slightly changed, and a few components are going to aid, and this few component has a major responsibility to recover the original signal and to remove the noise which are present in the signal. So you will see this. So here the design, whatever the design we have learned here, this is the case of a transmitter where the noise is not basically added. But in a general scenario, you can understand like this. You have a signal, which signal is transmitted by the transmitter antenna. This signal is simply known as a x of t signal. And if x of t signal is basically transmitted, here we are transmitting here y ask of t signal. So you correlate with this way. But if you are transmitting something like as x of t signal, and something here at the another end or at the receiver end, we are receiving y of t signal. So y of t signal is basically diluted by the noise. So noise are added in your signal. So whatever the y of t you are getting here is x of t plus n of t, right? So that shows this is your signal, which is your transmitted signal here, and this is the component is known as a noise component. So here your receive signal, this is suppose your receive signal. So receive signal is basically aided by the noise. So now your receive signal is not exactly similar of your transmitted signal, but receiver is expecting the transmitted signal is received in the similar form. So here we need to add some component so that whatever the noise has been added here, so those components will try to recover the original signal in presence of a noise, or try to remove the noise. So here the major source of noise are the channel and the receiver circuit. Here there is some misconception. The people are understanding that the channel is only the source, or maybe the channel is the source which dilute the signal, but it is not the case. Basically, the noise has a not only aided by the channel only. This definitely the channel is a one component, but the second component is also important, is the receiver circuit. The components at the receiver circuit, like the receiver antenna, amplifier, equalizer, filter, everything will add their own noise in the signal. So not only the channel is responsible to produce a noise, but receiver circuit is also equally important to produce a noise in the signal. So what finally, your receive signal y of t is your input signal plus the noise component n of t. If you are lucky enough and you are getting the signal without noise, there is assumption that channel is totally noiseless channel, and whatever the components you are using at the receiver side also not even producing any noise. So if this component is 0, then you are lucky enough your receive signal is similar as your transmitted signal x of t. But this is an idealistic assumption, and most of the cases we always end up with the noise, right? So receive signal is never assumed as a noise free signal. It's always noisy. Now if it's noisy, then y of t can be defined by this equation, right? And here this is a non-zero, this is a non-zero, so that's why we can say your receive signal is not equal to the transmitted signal. So in that case, how the design of ASK transmitter and a receiver is changed compared to the previous case, that is a main part we have to understand in this lecture. So this diagram will demonstrate the things. Here the first diagram, here is ASK transmitter. So that remains the same. We are assuming you have x of t signal binary in form. There is ASK modulator which modulate your ASK binary signal with the carrier signal cos omega ct with the amplitude of square root 2 EBTB VYTB, and here you are getting y of t signal. So nothing is going to change too much over here because the noise is basically a part of channel and receiver circuit. So whatever you are transmitting from here, right, it will be affected at later stage by the noise, right? So now here, if the signal is transmitted in this form, so channel will produce its noise, then this noise are added in your signal x of t, and finally let's assume here you are getting r double dash of t signal. So this r double dash of t signal is considered as a noisy signal, and here so waveform is going to change. Here you can see this waveform, there are some spikes over here and here and here. The total the shape of the signal is going to change. The amplitude is constant whenever you have transmitted here, but whenever it receives, the amplitude doesn't constant, and this is because of the effect of noise. So here we are assuming the signal is passing through the noisy channel, and the signal property is going to change because of this noise. So the shape is also going to change, and some property like the amplitude is also going to change. So whatever the signals which has been received at this point, that is slightly differ that what is actually transmitted. So before we pass through the some circuit which process the signal and try to recover the original signal, the first important part is to remove the carrier signal, because the goal of a carrier signal has been served over here. We have already received with the smaller size of antenna, and there is no need of this carrier signal. So carrier signal can be removed by using a coherent ASK demodulator. This part we have already learned so far. And this is the carrier signal 2 cos omega ct, which is fed with the another input. First input is the incoming signal, second input is this carrier signal, and then finally here the signal is produced in form of a binary pulse. Now, if your channel is noise-free channel and receiver circuit is even not producing any noise, so this pulse should be exactly similar or maybe identical of the pulse which has been present over here at the input side x of t. But because of the noise you are getting here, the pulse is not exactly similar. It looks like this. So here there is another component which is added over here, is the threshold detection, right? So threshold detection is one kind of a comparator. It's one kind of a comparator circuit, or this threshold detector is sometimes also known as a decision taker circuit, which take the decision either in favor of a 1 or 0. So because of noise is added over here, so your amplitude is going to change. It is deviated from the 1 and 0. And now here this threshold detection circuit has to play the role to get back the signal which is diluted by the noise into its original form. So what it can do, it can compare with some threshold, and this threshold is generally selected as a midpoint. So if this amplitude is, we can say A, and if it is 0, so threshold is selected as approximately A by 2. So the threshold detection mechanism is like that. If something is received above A by 2, right, in this region, so all this part is considered as A. So it is rounding off as A, and decision will be taken in favor of decision is taken in favor of A, right? So this is the one part. So R dash of t is a signal in binary form but diluted by the noise, then passed through the threshold detection circuit. And then here, if something is received below A by 2, right, so it is rounding off as a 0. So after passing through this threshold detection circuit, here the pulse shape is retrieved. So this pulse shape is retrieved, and this pulse shape is similar of your input signal x of t. But we will learn this threshold detection circuit is not a perfect circuit, or if the noise level is very high, or you can consider in another way, if your transmitted signal is diluted by high noise, then this threshold detection circuit will fail to play its role. And here we are getting some error. And the error actually occurs whenever you are transmitting one and noise is very high. So it crosses the threshold boundary and fall in the second region. Or you are transmitting a 0 but noise is very high and this points are shifted somewhere in the first region. So this will not take the right decision, and then whatever the data you are getting here, it count with the detection. We'll take a look of that also. But this is a case. And in this case, if you compare now this receiver and this receiver, so you can see here the receiver was very simple in earlier case when we have assumed there is no noise. So whatever the signal here, that can be received here, pass through the low pass, multiply with 2 cos omega ct, pass through the low pass filter, and you got the original signal back. But now because of the noise here, it is slightly changed here. You are receiving R double S of t pass through the coherent ASK demodulator. This is similar as the earlier case, but now this one threshold detector would be different. So the output of coherent ASK demodulator is given as the input of threshold detector. Threshold detector will compare the incoming signal value with the threshold, and then will try to recover the signal back. Okay, so this is one case. Now here we learn the things by constellation diagram when the signal is susceptible to the noise. So we can see here, first we draw the diagram of a transmitted signal which is not diluted by the noise. So it has a 2 constellation point. There is a 1 constellation point here, and there is another constellation point here. If you are receiving 0, you have a constellation point here. If you are receiving 1, you have a constellation point here. And assume square root of 2 EB. Earlier case we have shown this point is square root 2 EB by TB, but square root 2 EB by TB is considered as 1 for simplicity purpose. So we have only 2 constellation point on a real axis. One is at 0 and the second is 1. So if you have a bit 1, so as per this constellation, it may be fall somewhere here. If there is again 1, again it on the same point of constellation, then 0, it may be fall here, then again 1, fall here, and there would be 0, fall here. Now if the noise is added in your signal, right? So what happens here, because of the noise, this point 1 or 0 is not exactly false or may not be superimposed exactly on this one or maybe that 0. It may be false somewhere different place. So what are the different places? So this is the red color. You can assume here this one is considered as a black color. So black color dot is with respect to the signal of 0, and this red color dot are with respect to the signal 1. So if the 0 is transmitted, so because of the effect of a noise, this signal may be false somewhere here. It may be scattered out in this way, right? So this is the constellation diagram. These are the points affected by noise. So exactly, instead of exactly receiving as a 0, it may be received as a 0.2, 0.3 or some other things. So these are the points, will show this. Now if you are transmitting a 1, so because of the noise, you are not receiving 1 exactly, you are receiving 1.1, 1.2, something like that. So this red point will shows, or the screen point also shows, these are the points where actually 1 is transmitted, but because of the noise, they are presenting some different values. Now what is the important part here we have to look is the threshold is somewhere set by this threshold detector circuit at the midpoint. So midpoint may be somewhere here, it's say considered as a 0.5. So anything below 0.5, right, this is considered as a region number 1. Region number 1 is basically anything is a region below 0.5, and if your R dash of t means the signal which is present at the input of threshold detector, R dash of t. So if your R dash of t is below 0.5, so this points fall in the region number 1, and that will be decode, right? That will be decode as a 0. If your R dash of t is received above 0.5, means it may be fall in this region number 2. So it can be decoded as a 1. So if you are transmitting 0 and the 0 will be changed by the noise, but still fall in the region number 1, maybe somewhere here, anything in the region number 1, so it can be correctly decoded as a 0. But if the level of noise is very high and you are transmitting a 0, but because of very high level of noise, it may be fall in another region number 2. So it can be decoded as a 1, and here there is error. Same happens with 1. If somebody is transmitting a 1 and it can be caught with error, but after the interaction with the error, still it falls in the region number 2, so it can be decoded correctly as a 1 and there is no error. But if the noise level is very high and it crosses the boundary and fall in the region number 1, then it can be decoded as a 0, and that is considered as 0. So basically this thing can be understood like this way. Let's assume you have this data. So that is 1, 0, 1, and if it is encounter with some error like this, so here after adding this is considered as n of t data, and this is considered your x of t data, or something like as a y is k of t, and after adding here it may be let's assume this is your threshold, and this data, this 1, can be received like this, so it crosses the boundary here, right? Okay, and sorry, I can represent like this way. This can crosses the boundary and then receive here, and this is the clock, right? Okay, this is again the clock, and it can be received like this. So what happens at this point, after this clock, here it crosses the boundary here, and that may be the error. But what happens here, it doesn't, because of this noise, still it remains in a region number 1, not crosses the boundary, so it doesn't count with error. There is no error, it can be decoded correctly. So even though the signal is degraded by the noise, but if it doesn't cross the boundary of a threshold or remain in the same region which is defined by the boundary, then receiver is able to detect it correctly and there is no error. Otherwise there is a possibility of error. So if we summarize the thing, we can summarize like this: if actual bit which is transmitted is considered as 1, so x of t, original bit is 1, and if your receive signal with the noise is greater than 0.5, right, here you can assume this part is basically after demodulation, so this one can be removed, this one can be removed, so it's R dash of t, because R dash of t is the input of your threshold detector circuit. So if R dash of t is greater than 0.5 here, so it falls in a region number 1, what is defined here, right? So what is the region, how you define this region? So that is the region, this is the threshold, it's a 0.5, region number 1, and a region number 2, this is a pulse, and this is the something of, you can say, as a 0.5. So if R dash of t still remains in this region greater than 0.5, there is no error, because 1 can be decoded as a 1. But if R dash of t, it may be fall in the region number 2, so it can be decoded as a 0, but actually bit which is transmitted is 1, so there is error. Now consider the another scenario: if 0 is basically transmitted and it remains in this region number 2, so below 0.5, so it can be decoded correctly as a 0 and there is no error. But if it crosses this region and fall maybe somewhere here in region number 1, so in this case it is considered as a 1 or decoded as a 1, but actually bit which is transmitted is 0, so this one has a error. So error actually comes whenever the received bit will crosses the boundary and falls in another region, because in that case the receiver may be detect as a wrong bit, and if it detect as a wrong bit, the same bit will be go in the further process, and then the output at the receiver side is produced based on that, so that is considered as a error. So this is a one case. So in that case we have to find the probability of error, how much probability of error. If your receiver has a lesser probability of error, so it works fine. If your receiver has a higher probability of error, so it's poorly performed, and there is a need to redesign the receiver, or maybe reconstruct the receiver in a such a way so P can be reduced as much as possible. Here we will compare the on-off signal with the polar signal. Basically here I would like to build up the foundation of AM-ASK signal, and for AM-ASK signal the ASK signal can be defined with the various levels rather than only single level like 1 and 0. We can have multiple levels. So it is essential that how much distance is necessary between the two levels, so that it can give us the best error detection capability. It is very essential, and that's why this on-off signal can be compared with a polar signal. So in on-off signal we transmit with 0 and A, so the threshold may be fall somewhere here as a 0.5A, and if we compare the distance of delta V between A and threshold, or maybe 0 and threshold, so it is at midpoint, so both are at delta V is A by 2. So if noise will cross this boundary either in positive direction or negative direction, so your receiver cannot detect that bit correctly, and we have the receiver is basically suffering with the error. Now consider the polar case where 1 can be transmitted by the positive and 0 can be transmitted by the minus a. Here the similar things if we apply, so the threshold may be somewhere between plus a and minus a, maybe a 0, and between 0 and a if we consider the threshold, so delta v here is a. So noise with the larger value of a, either in positive direction or negative direction, may be the cause of error here. So if we compare this case and this case, so we can conclude here the smaller noise, because the noise has to cross only a by 2, and here the noise need to cross the a to create error. So here the smaller noise cause the error, and here the larger noise needed to create a error. So that may be a cause of error. So both the things are not equal. If we want to make on-off signal have a same immunity of noise, or maybe the same error detection capability as the polar signal has, so rather than to transmit the bit with 0 and a, the bits needed to be transmitted between 0 and 2. So in this case, the threshold may be fall at the exactly midpoint a, and between a and 2a, the delta v is a, and between 0 and a also delta v would be a, and this is the similar case of polar. So in AMRE signal, especially in the case of ASK, in AMRE signal, if we want to maintain the error detection capability of ASK on-off signal or ASK signal similar as the polar case, then definitely the 2a distance is must between two neighboring level. So any two neighboring level has a minimum distance. So d minimum here is approximately 2a. This thing is very important, and whenever we are in a process to design this ASK signal, so we keep this thing in mind. The distance, minimum distance, should have to kept as a 2a. So it tells the same thing that you can look at very quickly. So to maintain the same threshold region of on-off signal before ASK is generally transmitted with 0 and 2a, so amplitude can be selected with the distance of 2a. Okay, so now here this is the AMRE signal, but before this AMRE signal we have to understand what is the meaning of M here. So M is generally defined as the symbol, the number of symbol. So M here is just defined the total number of symbols which is present. In earlier case of ASK, we have only two level. If a bit is 1, then we can define by positive pulse, and if bit 0, then we can define by 0. So they have two level. But here, if we take M is large, then what happens and what are the consequences of this? So we take a look of this in this lecture. But the earlier case is simply known as a binary ASK because it has only two levels. So M, this was also AMRE signal, but where M can be defined as a 2. Now here we learn the another important case where M is considered as a 4. Right? So M is 4 is simply considered as a 4 RE ASK signal. 4 RE ASK signal. So M is equal to 4 is simply means it must have a 4 symbol. And what we have learned here, if we design any ASK signal, so minimum distance we have to kept between two neighboring levels should be 2a. So we follow the same rule here. So we can design a one pulse with the amplitude 0 to a. The second pulse we can design with the amplitude of minus a. So here how much distance is maintained here is the 2a. Minimum distance is maintained here is 2a. Then the third pulse we can design with the amplitude 3a. So between a and 3a we have again 2a distance. Then the fourth pulse we can design with the -3 amplitude. So between -a and -3a have minimum of 2a distance, and the similar more distance between another two pulses. Between 3a and -3 we have more distance, but the minimum distance between any two pulses will be maintained as a 2a. Now if we have a 4 symbol, we require a 4 different combination of your bit. In earlier case we have simple 1 bit have a combination. So if we have only simple 1 bit, 1 we are represented with 1 pulse and 0 we are represented with another pulse. But here we have 4 symbols, so there is a need to define a 4 different bit combination. So if we make a group of 2 bits, so for a 1 0 we use this symbol. So this symbol is simple known as a S1 symbol. If we define this one as a S2 symbol, and so we can define by 0 1. For 1 1 we can define the third symbol here, and for symbol 4 we define the bit combination as a 0 0. So with this bit combination here, one symbol is actually represent the 2 bit. So m is equal to 4 defines the total number of symbol, and m is equal to 2 raised to n. If we take the logarithmic scale here and find the value of n, so n is equal to 2 bits, right? So this 2 is the number of bits in a group. So we have a combination, 4 combinations are created here, and for every 4 combination of 2 bit we defines the unique symbol. So this unique symbols, what the care we have to taken, the minimum distance between two neighboring or two nearby amplitudes have to be taken as a 2a. So this is the important concept, so we have to understand here. Now this is a special case of m is equal to 4. It's not necessary we can stop here. You may have a m is equal to 8, so we can have a group of 3 bits. So we have 8 combination, we can define the 8 symbols. If m is equal to 16, you can go with m is equal to 8, m is equal to 16 and all. So you in n equal to 16, we have a combination of a 4 bits, and we have a 16 symbols needed to define, and so forth. So in ASK signal is basically different in that sense of ASK. In ASK we have a one symbol represent a 1 bit, but here one symbol is basically represent a 2 bit. So data transmission rate is basically double here, because whatever the time in which we were transmitting a single bit or one symbol, but one symbol is equal to 1 bit, so we are transmitting 1 bit, and here in the same duration we are transmitting here in 4 ASK we are transmitting here one symbol, but this symbol represented 2 bit. So in earlier case, if we are transmitting the data of 1 kilobit per second, if we are using a 4 ASK signal rather than 2 ASK signal, so we can make this transmission rate approximate double from 1 kilobit per second to 2 kilobit per second. So that is the main advantage over here. The data transmission rate is going higher. And if we go on with a m is equal to 8 and we define the symbol for a 3 bit, so here we can even make a triple time of your original bit rate. So we can transmit a 3 kilobit per second and so forth. So that way we can move further. Here we learn this is ASK modulator. So in ASK modulator the MRE signal is applied with m cos omega ct is your carrier signals, and finally YSK of t signal is produced as the output. So mathematically it can be represented as square root of 2 ei of t by tb. Now ei of t, that can be represented as, this one can be represented as ei is the energy per symbol I. So if you are transmitting it's if I is 1, so its energy can be defined by E1. If your I is equal to 2, then the energy I can be vary from 1 to 4. So we have 4 symbols, so I may vary from this, and for I is equal to 2, then it's say E2, E3, E4 for I is equal to 3 and 4 consecutively. So we can say like this. And if we define the EG is average energy, so energy for ith symbol can be defined as the average energy Eg. This is the average energy per symbol, multiply by 2I minus 1 minus m whole square. That is very important. So if you put I is equal to 1 here, so if you find here, if you say with E1, so then your I is 1. If you put here, so that is Eg multiply by 1 multiply by 2 here, so that is 2 minus 1, and m is considered as a 4 here, so 2 minus 5, so that you can define as a minus 3, and that is of minus 3 whole square, so it would be a 9. And the same if you define for E2, right, so that is Eg multiply with if you define by 2, so 2 into 2, 4 minus 1 minus 4, so that is minus 1, so that will be defined by amplitude 1. So then there is E3, then E3 you are applying I is equal to 3 into 6, 6 minus 5, 1, so that is Eg into 1. And then if you define E4, so E4 is again represented with I is equal to 4, so 4 into 2, 8, 8 minus 1 minus 4, so 3, 8, that is 9, so 9 into Eg. So that way you can calculate with the different value of I. Here I is considered as a 1, here I is equal to 2, I is equal to 3 here, and here you can consider I is equal to 4. So that way you can consider the energy. Okay, so this equation can be learned in this way. The various value of EI with different value of I you can put here. You can find the energy for different symbols that you can put here, and you can find the Y-ASK signal. The energy per symbol is simply defined with the ES. So ES can be defined as a log 2 raised to m into EB. EB is the energy per bit. So if in a one symbol we are using a 2 bits, and for that 2 bits, that m is the total number of symbols we are using, so that is the 4. So if you put here log 2 raised to 4, and if you simplify, so we are getting the answer here is 2. So energy per symbol is 2 times of energy per bit, and that can be definitely understand because in a one symbol we are using 2 bits, so energy of a 1 bit plus energy of 2 bit, that is equal to the energy of a symbol. So that is of 2 times of energy per bit. And the total energy consumed here is m square minus 1 by 3 into Eg. So if we are comparing this 4 RE ASK signal with our conventional approach of 2 RE ASK signal, so that is of m square minus 3 times more energy can be applied. So that is 4 square minus 1 by 3, 15 by 3, so 5 times more energy can be applied here compared to the previous case. That we are going to learn, and then we will derive later on. This is a graphical presentation here. So that is a binary sequence. You have a 0 0 0, then you have a 1, then again 1, then again 0, then 1. Now if we take the combination of two bits 0 0 0 1 1 0 and 1 1, so for this 0 0 bit we can transmit by, as per here, this 0 0 can be transmitted by minus 3 amplitude if A is taken as a 1. So if here the same thing we can transmit is by minus 3. Then there is another combination of 0 1. So for this combination of 0 1 we can transmit by negative amplitude minus A or minus 1. So that can be represented as minus 1. Here assume A is equal to 1. Then same for 1 0 we can transmit by A is equal to 1, and then for 1 1 we can transmit by 3A, so 3. And then the another process is this is going to multiply it going for ASK modulator, and then ASK modulator where it multiply with cos omega ct, and finally here the Y m ASK signal is produced. So multiply with cos omega ct. So this is multiply with cos omega ct. So minus 3 multiply with cos. So amplitude will be start from minus 3 to plus 3. That is cos omega ct. Frequencies remain same. Only the amplitude is differ over here. Minus 1 multiply with cos. So it can be start from here. There is 1. So it can be start from 1 cos omega ct, and plus 3. So it can be start from plus 3 cos omega ct. So that way the waveform is can be represented here for your better understanding. Now we will go through some energy calculation from ASK signal and MRE ASK signal. How much more energy is consumed by MRE ASK signal? This is a very important portion that we have to take into consideration. So let's say for ASK signal, here we are assuming there is a one pulse we can represent by amplitude 1, and that pulse generate the energy EB. The 0 is transmitted with a 0 in earlier case, so that doesn't consumes any energy. So total energy, if we consider here, so that total energy is EB plus 0. And if we consider the average energy, so average energy is the total energy divided by the number of bits. So here the total energy is EB divided by the total number of bits, so that is EB by 2. So this is the case of a binary ASK, or if you consider this is MRE ASK, so M is equal to 2, so that is simply known as a 2RE ASK. Is the previous case, or the conventional amplitude shifting key that we have taken a look. Okay, now if your M will increase, and here in our case we have taken M is equal to 4. This is a special case where M is taken as a 4. Now we will compare. If M was 2, then the average energy consumed is EB by 2. Now if we take M is equal to 4, so how much more energy is consumed in this case? So that signal is simply known as a 4 ASK signal. So we have already discussed this symbol can be defined as a +1 with the amplitude of plus A, but A is considered as a 1, so it's a +1 and -1, then plus 3A, but A is 1, so it's a +3 and -3A. And how much energy is consumed? So this energy we will consider as a symbol energy rather than bit energy, because here the symbol energy and bit energy have no difference. One symbol represents 1 bit, but here one symbol represented 2 bits. So in that case the symbol energy and bit energy here are not equal. And here the symbol energy and bit energy are same, because one symbol represents a single bit, and here one symbol is equal to 2 bit. So in that case we can say, if we have this kind of a pulse, so its symbol energy can be represented as a ES. We have another pulse, its symbol energy can be represented as a ES. If we have the pulse with amplitude 3, so its energy is 3 square into S, so can be represented by 9S. Minus 3 pulses can have an energy of 9S. So if we combine all this energy, so the total energy of MASK signal, where M is equal to 4, that is ES, this one, plus ES, this one, then this one, so it's a 3 square ES, this one, 3 square ES, so that is 9ES, 9ES, this are carry forward, so ES plus ES, 2ES, and if you combine and then add sum of this all, so the total energy consumed here is a 20 ES. But this energy is the total energy, and it can be distributed among these 4 symbols. So the energy, this is the average energy per symbol. If we calculate, so that is 20 ES by 4, that is the 5 ES. But here the ES is the energy per symbol and EB is the energy per bit. So we have a 2 symbol. So as per this equation that we have already discussed here, this energy here is log 2 raised to m EB. So m is equal to 4. So if you, it's a 2. So energy here, yes, energy per symbol here is a 2 time of energy per bit. So energy per bit is simply defined by energy per symbol divided by 2. So if the same thing is applied here, then this can be modified as a energy, average energy per bit, in terms of energy per bit for MREASK signal, where m is equal to 4. So that can be the EGS the average energy per symbol divided by 2. So that is 5 ES. Now ES is replaced with EB by 2. It can be found. EB is replaced with ES by 2. So that can be found in terms of EB. So that is 5 EB by 2. So 5 EB by 2. So now we will compare this case of AM is equal to 4 ASK signal with the AM is equal to 2 ASK signal, and we will see how much more energy is consumed in both the cases. So in earlier case we have defined this energy, average energy of ASK signal. ASK signal here by default it is assumed AM is equal to 2. So it was EB by 2 that we have found here. And for AMR ASK or AM is equal to 4 ASK, we have found this energy is simply defined as 5 EB by 2. So now if we compare this two equation, so that can be clearly understood that 5 times more energy is basically consumes in 4 REASK signal than 2 REASK signal. So that can be defined by m square minus 1 by 3 times more energy is consumed. So if you have m is different values here, let's say you can say if you consider the rather than 4 ASK, if you go further and you can work for 8 ASK signal where m is equal to 8. So 3 bits are required. You need to a group of 3 bits. So 8 symbols are created. And if you find the energy per symbol, average energy, we'll compare always with average energy. So average energy is m square minus 1 by 3 and Eg. So m is equal to 8 square minus 1. So that is even 8 square minus 1. So 64 minus 1, 63, and this is 3. So 21 times more energy is required than 2 RESK signals. If you take m is equal to 16, you go for a 16 ASK signal, so even larger energy is consumed. So the main disadvantage of AMR ASK signal is that if you increase the value of m, so then your power consumption is going to increase. So that is the basic conclusions you can make here. If m goes up, then your power consumption or maybe energy consumption, average energy EG, it also goes up. So larger ASK signal has a merit of a more data transmission, because if you go for m is equal to 8, so you are transmitting 3 times more data than 2 REASK signal. And if you go for a 16 REASK signal, so it transmit 4 times more data than 2 REASK signal. But at the same time, the disadvantage is that your energy consumption is also increased, and power consumption is directly proportional with energy consumption, so your power consumption is also increased. So if you are working with your mobile and battery has a fixed battery, so it consumes a more power for every transmission if the value of m increases. So that is needed to understand here. Now we take the constellation diagram. So constellation diagram, in earlier case we have a two symbol S1 and S2. They have amplitude 0 and square root 2 EB by TB. So that was the constellation diagram. Now if you see here the constellation diagram for m is equal to 4 ASK signal. So we have 4 symbol. E1 is the energy of first symbol, E2 is the energy of second symbol, energy of third symbol is 9 times 3 square times of ES, E4 is 3 square time of ES. And if you define this by constellation point on the real axis, so we have a 4 constellation point. This will represent your symbol number 1. This may be represent your symbol number 2. This one can represent for symbol number 3, and this is for symbol number 4. So that is the square root of 2 E1 by TB, square root of 2 E2 by TB, square root of minus square root of 2 E3 by TB, and square root of 2 E4 by TB. So this was the amplitude of your ASK signal. That's why it is minus. And energy are defined as E1, E2, E3, E4, and symbols have S1, S2, S3, S4. So these are the difference between constellation diagram. If you go with 8 ASK, you have 8 symbols are there with a different value. If you go for 16 ASK, you have 16 symbols are there. Now if you go with a bandwidth estimation, so here we are using the same carrier, single carrier. So for that single carrier, the bandwidth may not be changed even though you have different symbols are there. In earlier case you have only two symbols, S1 and S2. And for a 2 REASK signal, for 4 REASK signal we have a 4 symbol, S1, S2, S3 and S4. But the carrier signal are not going to change. Here we are using cos omega CT. Here we also use the cos omega CT. So carrier signal is still not changed. So if you find the power spectral density of 4 RESK signal where m is equal to 4 here, so it is similar or identical like as a 2 RESK signal, and the power spectral density is basically concentrated with the FC frequency. So bandwidth is even same. So there is no difference in the bandwidth if you work with the 2 RESK signal, 4 RESK signal, 8 RESK signal, 16 RESK signal. So bandwidth doesn't impact of the value of m on the bandwidth. Okay, now we have a bit error rate performance. So if again we will move to the constellation diagram. So in constellation diagram you can say in this is the 2 RE case, 2 RESK signal, and this is the 4 RESK case. So in 2 RESK we have the two constellation diagram. S1 and S2 can be represented by 0 and 1, and here there is a threshold in between. So there is a threshold point. So we can take a look over here. So there are only two regions, region 1 and region 2. So everything is below this point. So if this point is 0.5, so minus infinity to 0.5 is a region number 1, and everything from 0.5 to plus infinity, this is a region number 2. So here region 1 and region 2 are very large. All the space, all the sphere, it can be divided only in a two part, region 1 and region 2, and they are too large. So the error probability here is lower. This is a very lower error probability here, that you can understand. Now in 4 RESK signal, here you can divide S1, S2, S3 and S4. So if you can have some points here, that may be a 0.5, and between 1 and 3 you have a 4, you have a 0.2. So there may be okay, so this is plus 1 and minus 1, you can say. So the boundary is 0, and here between S3 and S1 you have this boundary, between S2 and S4 you have this boundary. So this boundary may be up to infinity. This region is also from this point to the infinity. So you can say this is my region number 1, right? It is shown over here, sorry. So this is can say this is my region number 1 is this. Region number 3 will be expanded up to infinity. R2 is this from 0 to this point, right? And R4 may be this point to the plus infinity. So this whole sphere, this can be divided in 4 parts. In this case it was divided only in 2 parts. So regions are very wide, right? And because of decision regions are very wide, it can suffer with a lower bit error rate. Here the decision regions are narrow compared to the 2 RESK signal, right? Because here the total sphere are divided in 4 parts rather than 2 parts in earlier case. So the decision regions are narrow. So small error is sufficient to cross the boundary of a region, and then the symbol of S1 after diluted with the noise may fall in S2 region and S3 region and count with error. So because of this narrow region, they are susceptible with higher bit error rate. Now you imagine the case for 8 ASK. So for 8 ASK we have a 7 boundaries, and then you can have 8 symbols are there, and then you may have even narrow region. If you go with a 16 ASK signal, then even you have a narrow region. If you go with 64 ASK signal, so you can have to divide in a 64 symbols are there, and for every 64 symbols you need to define a boundary. For 63 boundary approximately, so that is even a narrow. So if you move in this case, so what you can conclude here, the bit error rate is basically increase because the region are narrow and small error is sufficient to cross the boundary of the region. So bit error rate goes to increase. The number of bits which is received incorrectly will be higher in number. So bit error rate is actually the ratio of number of bits received incorrectly divided by the total number of bits. So that will be go up when m goes up. So this is not a good factor. bit error rate should be as minimum as possible, but here bit error rate is higher if your M is higher. So this we have to understand. So whatever the two disadvantage we have found, if the M will increase, so total energy consumed by AMRA signal can also be increased. The second thing we have learned here is the bit rate performance is even deteriorate if the value of M will increase. So this is a simple case of AMRE transmitter. You can take a loop x of t. Here bit to symbol mapping. So bits are converted to symbol. Then this one is given as a modulator with the carrier signal. It can be modulated, and you are producing here YSK of t signal, or maybe YMREASK signal. Then in receiver, you have a coherence detector, then symbol to bit mapping, and then it is actually passed through the threshold detection, and finally you are producing here your signal R of t. Is try to approximately manipulate with the X of t signal, original signal. Now at the end of this lecture, we would like to summarize the thing. So here there is a comparison of ASK signal or MRE signal. We are assuming here ASK signal is a case where M is equal to 2, and here MRESK signal is the case where M is larger than 2, means the next value of M would be start from 4, 8, then 16. It's a 2 raised to, it's a power of 2, so that is 4, 8, 16 and so. So if we compare ASK and MRESK signal with various parameters, these are the parameters on which we compare this. So first we compare with the power requirement. So power requirement of 2RESK signal is lower. With higher value of M, the power requirement will increase. So it's largely depend with a M. If M increase, then power requirement will be further increase. If the bandwidth, if you compare the bandwidth, so bandwidth looks same because the carrier signal is a single carrier signals are used. Either you are using ASK signal or MRESK signal, the carrier signal doesn't going to change. So bandwidth is also bandwidth remains the same, and all the power spectral density is concentrated with the carrier frequency FC. Then if you goes with a bit error rate performance, so here we have concluded the bit error performance will deteriorate because if M will increase, then we have a narrow region compared to the wider region in the previous case. Then if value of M increase, we have a narrow and narrow region, and then the small error is sufficient to for any point of constant symbol points to cross the boundary and pour in the different region, and the receiver will encounter with a error. So more error will be produced if the value of M increase. So that we can say the bit error rate here is lower in the case of ASK, and it will be increased if the value of M increase. So more and more value of N, we have a lower and lower, so we have higher and higher bit error rate, and this is deteriorate the performance of your receiver. Then we will move to the spectral efficiency that defines the number of bits are transmitted. So that is the one very good factor of MRESK signal. If M will increase, we can transmit a more number of bits with the same time duration. So here we can transmit only the 2 bits here, and here we can transmit the 4 bit, 8 bit, then 16. So we can transmit with the we can transmit only single bit with one symbol, and here we can transmit the 2 bit, then 4 bit, then 8 bit, and so. So the number of bits in a one same duration have been increased with the value of M. So if M increase, more number of bits can be transmitted. So that's the advantage of MRESK signal. This are the disadvantage. This is the disadvantage that will not be impacted, but this is the advantage. Again, the spectral efficiency is going to improve with the value of M. Spectral efficiency defines the number of bits are transmitted within a one symbol duration. So more bits are transmitted within the same duration, then we have a higher value of spectral efficiency. So if you define the reason is here symbol rate and bit rate is same, RS is equal to RB, and here symbol rate is smaller than the bit rate because more bits are transmitted, so it increases the spectral efficiency. So we conclude this lecture over here. I think you understand the concept of MRESK signal. The main parameters is how much the power is being increased with the value of M, how much the bit error rate performance can be deteriorated with the value of M, but how the spectral efficiency can be improved with a value of M. So that is a good factor of MRESK signal, and we will take a look of this. Okay, so that is all about the MRESK signal, but in next lecture we will discuss about the FSK signal in a more detail with the another variant of MRE FSK signal. Okay, so good day and start to read about all these things.